We know the size of Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh's contract extension offer, but he hasn't signed it yet because there might be a poison pill in there, and he might not sign it. I'll have my reasons why. Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. These days, every new potential hire could feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. We're going to look into Jim Harbaugh's contract offer here. Plus, I want to get to Manny Diaz leaving Penn State to take the Duke job. I have some concerns about that, and we'll have our Tuesday tweets. Those are always fun. Be sure to subscribe. By the way, congratulations to all of us. Since we're all in this together, we've got over 5,000 subscriptions. Thank you very much. Let's keep it rolling. The push to 10,000 is next. Follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh, he's got a new contract extension in front of him. It's been around for several weeks. It's for $55 million over 5 years. Do the math. $11 million a year. That makes him the highest paid coach in the Big Ten, higher than Ryan Day's $10.3 million at Ohio State. It would also make him the second highest paid coach in the entire country behind Alabama's Nick Saban, who makes $11.4 million per year. If you want other guys to compare it to, Clemson's Dabo Swinney makes 10.9, Kirby Smart at Georgia, 10.7. So Jim Harbaugh, very well to do if he signs this contract. But there may be a poison pill right in the middle of all this in this offer, and I don't think Harbaugh will sign it as is. And I'll explain that to you in a minute. But at face value, Harbaugh's $11 million contract by itself, or at least the offer, it's overdue when you really think about it. So he's beaten Ohio State 3 straight years. He's won 3 straight Big Ten titles outright. That's never been done before at Michigan, by the way. And he'll be going for his 3rd straight college football playoff here in the coming weeks. Very impressive stuff. Certainly deserving of a contract extension, right? But there have also been situations, if you will. For example, Harbaugh missed half the season this year because of his suspensions. Twice. And there may be more coming. Quick recap, of course. The first 3-game suspension at the start of the season was after battling all spring and summer with the NCAA over Hamburger Gate, where Harbaugh allegedly bought recruits lunch at an Ann Arbor burger place during a COVID shutdown period in which coaches were not allowed to have contact with recruits. Harbaugh says he did not agree with the NCAA's version of the story. The NCAA feels like Harbaugh was not being truthful over the matter. So the NCAA wanted Harbaugh to serve a 4-game suspension to start the season. Harbaugh said, "No, thank you. I've done nothing to be ashamed of." The NCAA said, "Fine, be that way. We're going to open a full-blown investigation over the matter, drag this on for months, and when we come back, be prepared for a big, long suspension," right? Somebody at Michigan, whether it was the school president, the athletic director, or Harbaugh, although I doubt it was Harbaugh, and the school announced that they would self-impose a 3-game suspension on Harbaugh to start the season. So Harbaugh comes back week 4, just when the team is settling into another gear. And then the Connor Stallions story broke, where it appears Michigan broke an old NCAA rule where you can't scout future games in person. Michigan was accused of sign stealing during those said scouting sessions. We all know that, so we're all caught up with everything that's been going on. The NCAA, of course, immediately opened an investigation into that matter, and despite a lot of evidence, it could not find any evidence linking Harbaugh to the accusations. Harbaugh has always maintained that he knew nothing about the sign stealing scandal, nor did he direct anybody or Connor Stallions to break any NCAA rules. And Connor Stallions has backed up that story as well. Well, the rest of the Big Ten lost their mind, right? Very unhappy. And they forced Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti to insert himself ahead of the NCAA investigation in the matter and go ahead and suspend Harbaugh another 3 games on behalf of the Big Ten for Spygate, even though the Big Ten also said they too, like the NCAA, could not connect Harbaugh to the accusations. But they were convinced rules were broken and Harbaugh had to be the fall guy. And so he sat out the final 3 games of the regular season. And that's where we just were a couple of weeks ago. And yet, throughout all of this, Michigan, its president, its board of regents, they've all stood by Harbaugh throughout all of it. They didn't waver in their support one iota. And they have this $55 million contract extension that they would like him to sign and remain a Michigan man for the foreseeable future. Why rehash all this right here on Locked On Big Ten? Well, because there's a chance that Harbaugh may be growing very tired of the NCAA. The Burgergate investigation is still ongoing. The Spygate investigation is still ongoing. There might be more suspensions coming down the road in 2024. Sports Illustrated is even suggesting they think they have information that there could be suspensions for the bulk of the 2024 season for Jim Harbaugh. So Harbaugh has options. He's always had the desire to return to the NFL as a coach. There's no big secret there. Almost every year, he is toyed with or interviewed for open NFL coaching jobs. His name always comes up on all these lists anytime there's a job opening in the NFL. Frankly, a little sidebar here. I have no idea, and this is a compliment, I have no idea how Harbaugh has been able to recruit at the highest of levels year after year when all the other schools are telling kids, hey, why are you going to Michigan? Jim Harbaugh's not going to be there next year. And yet he's still here and he's still winning and the kids are still going there. I think it's a phenomenal recruiting job. My guess is I think he's really honest with them. I think, hey, are you going to be here when I graduate? He says, I don't know. We don't know anything about our lives. We don't know where we're going to be next year, no matter what field of work we're in. I think it's an honest answer. And I think the kids like it and they want to go to Michigan anyway. So regarding this contract, there may be a poison pill in the $55 million contract offer. Michigan reportedly would like Harbaugh to put in writing as part of this contract that he will not seek an NFL coaching job during the term of the new contract. I've heard 2 things. I heard it was during like the first year of the extension or during the entire term. Who knows? We'll find out later with the details. The bottom line is, I don't think he'll agree to any of that. I don't think he'll sign it. I think he loves his alma mater, don't get me wrong, and he feels like he's made them relevant. I think that's a very important goal to him. He did that. I think he may even truly want to continue to coach at Michigan. I know he truly loves this team this year. But given the idea of sitting out more games and the NCAA coming down on him again in 2024 and his past desire to coach in the NFL, I think he wants to keep his options open. I really do think he wants to keep his options open and not sign an addendum stating that he can't pursue NFL jobs while at Michigan. So we'll see if this is any kind of holdup moving forward. Some of this is just human nature of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. I think that's how a lot of us would feel in this situation. So we'll stay tuned. I think we'll know soon enough for sure. Tell me I'm wrong, okay? Hit me up on comments. Maybe I'm spot on. Maybe you agree with me. Hit me up on X, Twitter, Talk Big Ten number 10. Also our website, talkbig10number10.com, and on YouTube as well. I got some more news and notes around the Big Ten, and I want to jump into the Manny Diaz situation, the now former defensive coordinator at Penn State, taking the head coaching job at Duke. I was surprised by that. I've had a couple days to digest it, figure it out, and think some things through. I will share those with you, those thoughts. Plus, we've got Tuesday tweets coming up. Interesting ones. You want to stick around for all that. It's coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to get the right people in the office working together. It's the same thing as a team or same thing as offensive line or a whole unit. You just got to get the right people in there. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. You post the job opening on LinkedIn Jobs. You get your purple hashtag hiring frame for your LinkedIn profile. You spread the word to everybody that you're hiring. And simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience. So you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and then eventually hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockdowncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockdowncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I want to thank you all at this point for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen every day, especially you everydayers out there that help this podcast grow. And I just told you, we just hit over 5,000 subscriptions on YouTube. That is fantastic. Started off with about 1,200 when we took over 1st of July. Thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, if you haven't yet, please do. Feel free. Join the club. Everybody else is doing it. Be like the cool kids. Everybody's doing it. Subscribe to Locked On Big Ten. Also, you could share and follow Locked On Big Ten no matter where you get us. Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. Little sidebar. It's been a couple of days. Did you watch the Heisman presentation on Saturday night? Some of you watch it, some of you don't. Marvin Harrison Jr. there at the Heisman Trophy presentation. Of course, his whole family was there. It was great to see. They were in full force, including his little brother, Jet Harrison, who got a lot of attention on social media. Just a young kid. Social media blew up, starting to predict young Jet Harrison's prospects in college football and a bunch of smack talk about what school he'd play for and how he was probably even better than Marvin. Look, we got to tap the brakes on some of this stuff. Everybody just needs to relax. Young Jet's not even available for recruiting until the class of 2028, okay? We've got time. Marvin was asked, all the candidates were asked, as a matter of fact, what's the one thing you would change about college football? He had an interesting answer. He said conferences. He would eliminate them. This kid coming from the Big Ten, right? He said instead of playing teams because they were grouped into a regional geographical conference, he'd prefer an open schedule where you could play the best teams around the country every single week. Sounds like he likes the Notre Dame model of independence, really. It's an interesting idea for talk radio and podcasts, but college football is clearly going in the opposite direction. So you got to get into a big conference or die. It's that simple. You have to do it to survive these days. And preferably, you get yourself into a super conference like the Big Ten or the SEC. And frankly, if you're in one of those conferences, like he was, which continues to grow, you will play the best teams all across the country each and every week just by playing conference games. But anyway, it was an interesting thought nonetheless. New Michigan State Spartan coach Jonathan Smith. He is going to hire Minnesota defensive coordinator Joe Rossi for the same position for the Spartans. Now, Rossi's been at Minnesota for 7 years. He's been the defensive coordinator there for 5 years. And frankly, the Gophers defense has been pretty strong on his watch. Interesting lateral job for him from Minnesota to Michigan State. Smith also announced that he'll be bringing 6 assistants with him from Oregon State, including offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Brian Lindgren. So anyway, I set this up earlier, and I want to talk about it now. Regarding Penn State situation and Manny Diaz and going to Duke. He's the defensive coordinator at Penn State and taking the Duke head coaching job. James Franklin just got his whole offensive coordinator mess fixed up and then lost the defensive coordinator when Diaz left. Look, it happens. If you're a good team, it's going to happen. Your coaches are going to get poached. People want whatever made you successful. They want that for their schools, right? And frankly, Diaz did a great job running the Penn State defense. The Nittany Lions defense, one of the best units in the country all season long. They were elite, that good. And so Franklin had nothing but good things to say about Diaz and his family and his contributions the past couple of seasons. It was all nice. Everybody said the right things. But you want to know my opinion on this situation? I was surprised Diaz took that job, right? The Duke job. I thought with a resume that included being a head coach at Miami and a defensive coordinator at a powerhouse like Penn State, I thought Diaz could have held out for a better job at a bigger school. I don't know what makes people tick or what's important to them. Don't get me wrong. Duke is a good, it's a great school. They had a great season in football. And in fact, that's why they lost their coach. Elko went over to A&M. They got poached. They had a great season. They got a lot of attention this year. It's hard to maintain that year in and year out at Duke. I don't care who's coaching or what the situation is. And I think it's a tough job. It's a really tough job. And it's in a conference, the ACC, with an uncertain future. I mean, we just did a thing yesterday talking about how Florida State looking to get out and blow that thing up. And by the way, if you missed that podcast, and not too many of you did, a lot of you saw it. Thank you. It was on here yesterday, wherever you get your podcast. Just check it out. I thought he could have held out for better, though. But to each his own. He wanted to take the job, and he did. Franklin, on another subject at Penn State, forget about poaching his coaches. He's unhappy with other coaches who are tampering with his kids on his roster ahead of the transfer portal officially being open last week. Probably a lot of that going on, I think. And so he can be unhappy about it, but I think a lot of people do it. And so I don't know if we ever crack down on that or what the point is, but yeah, people are calling kids all the time, want to see if they want to come to their school. And then there's Curt Cignetti. He, of course, is at Indiana now, coming from James Madison, and he just landed his first player from the transfer portal at Indiana. And he's going to get Wake Forest running back Justice Ellison, who announced his commitment to IU on X or Twitter. He played 4 years with the Demon Deacons, and he'll have 1 year of eligibility left. He was Wake Forest's second leading rusher with 548 yards on 120 carries this year and 1 touchdown. He also caught 10 passes this season. He actually had a better year the previous year, and that's what Indiana is hoping to get out of him this year. The Hoosiers just lost its leading rusher in Trent Holland in the transfer portal to Minnesota. A lot of changes going on from the coach on down there in Bloomington. A lot of changes out here on Locked On as well. This Locked On family has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is what it is called. It is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every single league, including this show is on there from time to time. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. So you'll love. So subscribe to this one, check us out every day, and then go check out that one and subscribe as well. All right. This time of the week, we always like to look at our Tuesday tweets. A lot of interesting ones out there. We'll get to all those in just a minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You can score early and often this NFL season with FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's right, $150 if your team wins. Very simple, very fun. Everybody's doing it. Your people at work, your coworkers are talking about it. Your friends are talking about it. It's time for you to get on and have some fun with FanDuel as well. So if you've been thinking about it, it's no better time than right now to get in it. Lots of different things you can do with any game out there, any sport. You got point spreads, you got over or unders, you got player props. You can go money line, straight up pick winners or losers. It's all right there. As a matter of fact, looking ahead to Thursday night football this week in the NFL, and it's the Chargers and the Raiders. Raiders are 3-point favorites. I do like the Raiders in that one. Justin Herbert is out. It seems like the Chargers season it's spiraling out of control. It's a lost cause at this point. And the over-under is 33. You're going to have a couple of backup quarterbacks going at it here. So I still like the under. Plus, Thursday nights usually do hit at the under. It's tough. It's tough for players to get going on 4 days rest. And we get a lot of unders on Thursday night primetime football. So I like the under 33 and take the Raiders 3-point favorites in that game. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the rest of the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Okay, so it is time for Tuesday tweets. We will we'll check that out and see what we got going. These are always pretty good. I always collect these. I'm always on Twitter at Talk Big Ten, and I do a lot of on the weekends, especially while games are going on and stuff. And I like to retweet or add my own, so you can look out at that. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter if you haven't already, at Talk Big Ten. And it's all Big Ten stuff for the most part, and it's pretty good. And I follow a lot of you people out there too. So anything I see that's amusing, I save it for this segment here, and always like to present it on Tuesday tweets. So let's go. Let's check it out. Put it on the screen here. And for those of you listening on audio only, I will try and describe these as best as I can so that you can check them out as well. So whether you're listening or watching. This one is a screenshot of the Huskers basketball court. It comes from at Big Ten Network, and it's Nebraska getting the win over Michigan State for the first time since 2016. And a lot of people are beating Michigan State. I still can't put my finger on what is wrong with Tom Izzo and the Michigan State basketball team. Start out the season ranked 4th, and they've just fallen by the wayside, so not sure. We'll start talking a little more Big Ten basketball here. Still kind of winding down football a little bit. We got bowl season coming up, of course, the playoffs and all, but believe me, I personally love basketball. So we'll be getting into all that. And here is one from at Spartan Shadows. It's a picture of Tom Izzo. And it says, it might just be time to admit that Tom Izzo has lost his fastball. He's 31-30 and the Big Ten since 2020. We need vintage Tom Izzo back. First of all, I don't think Izzo's lost his fastball. I still think he's one of the best coaches in all of college basketball and in the Big Ten. I am a little surprised. I had not realized he's basically 500 in the Big Ten since 2020. But I think he'll figure it out. Look, he's got to change. The weird thing about this team this year is their backcourt is their strength. They got a lot of experience coming back, and they really are slow out of the gates this year. So there is something going on there. But anyway, I have a feeling Izzo will get it figured out. Let's go to at College Basketball Report. Now, this is interesting, okay? There are some stories, and we'll keep an eye on this here for you on Locked On Big Ten surrounding the Michigan basketball program. This says rumors swirling around credible Michigan insiders is that it may be the end of an era for the Wolverines. Juwan Howard is expected to be out of his head coaching duties for Michigan. Juwan, a 19-year NBA veteran, was known for his historic Fab Five and has been at Michigan since 2019. Juwan took the Wolverines to the Big Ten title, 2 Sweet 16s, and an Elite 8 appearance in his 3 full seasons coaching the Maize and Blue. More notably, the Wolverines failed to meet expectations in 2022 and 2023, despite making a late push to the Sweet 16 in 2022. Yeah, something happened. I have heard stories. It's behavioral oriented, and that's all I'm going to say right now until we know any facts. I don't want to spew anything out there that's incorrect, but you know me, I've always told you on this podcast, where there is smoke, there's fire, and there's something going on at Michigan with Juwan Howard. Now, he's been out since September and taking a secondary role behind Phil Martelli because he just had open heart surgery, which leads us to our next text, which comes from at Jalen Rose, his former teammate with the Fab Five and radio and TV personality. He says, at Juwan Howard did not and is not stepping down as head coach. He is enthusiastically hoping to return December 16th Juwan is literally recovering from open heart surgery, all caps, done on September 15th. Hail, as in hail to the victors. Yeah, so, I mean, I appreciate the support from Jalen Rose. I get it. I get where he's coming from. And Jalen is in touch with Juwan, so you presume they communicate. But like I said, there's something going on, and we'll keep an eye on it and see if there are any changes coming at Michigan with basketball. Here, back to football, is from at Black Shirts. This is a Nebraska tweet. Calm is a split screen of Kyle McCord and Julian Fleming. It says Kyle McCord and Julian Fleming set to visit Nebraska this week. Yeah, they did this past weekend. I think it is the second conversation that McCord has had. I think Matt Rule is dialing in and salivating at the possibility of getting a quarterback that can throw the football instead of being a run-first guy. I don't know. Again, it's with that offense and with this, I don't know if that's a match, but it is in a way. It's a significant upgrade. And we'll see if this comes. I think McCord is going to go to Nebraska. If I were to place a wager on it right now, I would say that is the case. However, Fleming, I don't know about yet, but it would be neat if they came over as a package deal and kind of hit the ground running with some chemistry over there at Nebraska with Matt Rule. So that's one of the interesting transfer portal stories that we're keeping an eye on for you here at Locked On Big Ten. Let's see. This is from at Swanky Wolverine. It says, if you don't know, now you know. It is a picture of a billboard, and it has a picture of Rod Moore on it. And in case you don't remember, Rod Moore was the one that had the game-winning interception against Ohio State to seal the deal at the Big House. And it just says in letters, it says, McCord looks, fires, intercepted, Rod Moore, and Michigan will win the game. That was the play-by-play at the end of the game in which Michigan won. Now, the more that I look at this even closer, this has got to be photoshopped because, first of all, in the background are snow-capped mountains, and there are no mountains like this in Michigan. Those look like California mountains. I used to live out there. And all of a sudden that the edges of this looks a little too clean. Yeah, I think this is photoshopped in, but I liked it anyway. And I'm sure Michigan fan would like it. So I put it out there. So I don't know if it's a real billboard or not. All right. Let's go to this. This is from at Heavens FX, and it is a picture of the court at Iowa State. And it's Caitlin Clark and the Lady Hawkeyes. Caitlin Clark passing 3,000 career points from deep with the jump shot. It's a video that rolls if you want to download and check that out. And then here's another one for her, also from at Heavens FX, with a picture of Caitlin Clark, first men's or women's player in NCAA history with over 3,000 points, over 750 rebounds, and over 750 assists. And she's got like the entire season in front of her still. She's going to add to these numbers. It's going to get absolutely crazy. So just a phenomenal basketball player. Fun to watch. And you can check that out. So that is it for Tuesday tweets. Hope you like those. If you want to comment on any of those, please feel free on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you probably. And then if your stuff is good, we'll put it on the segment here on the podcast. So at me, as they say. Also, check out our website, talkbig10, 10.com, and hit us up with comments on YouTube as well. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app. And you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every single day. Don't forget, also, we have Locked On Sports Today. It's another podcast here on the Locked On family of channels. And it is the first ever 24/7 streaming channel, sports streaming channel on YouTube. So check it out. Download that as well. And subscribe to both of us, if you will. That'll do it. Always enjoy our visits. Be back again tomorrow with the latest going on in the Big Ten. Have yourself a great day. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman.